Heavy snow continues to work north today. We're looking at the live radar as of noon Eastern, 11 Central. A lot of ice still falling back across Mississippi. It's been a mess in and around the Tupelo region here into northwest Mississippi up towards Oxford. And we're seeing rain further to the east into the Tennessee Valley with temperatures climbing above freezing. Into the mountains here, there are reports of temperatures in the mid-40s, especially above 3,000 or 4,000 feet. I'd say that because you've got all that warm air moving north into Virginia, West Virginia, where temperatures are in the teens, low teens at that, here from parts of eastern West Virginia into northern Virginia, where we're seeing freezing rain mixed with the sleet. So more ice on the way. The mesoscale discussion talking about that. Snow is mostly transitioned to sleet, and I think even some freezing rain here too. So more ice on the way across this region, and the heavy snow starting to really break out into the northeast with temperatures, look at this, near zero in some areas, at least in the single digits, with heavy snow falling. I was looking at some of the observations the last hour or so. Some of the airports in and around the New York City metro region reporting visibility down to a quarter of a mile with heavy snow being reported. Heavy snow being reported in the Pittsburgh area within the last hour with visibility down to a quarter of a mile. So heavy snow bands continue to break out here, and this area is under a mesoscale discussion too concerning heavy snow. Snowfall rates pretty strong, in some cases up to 2 inches an hour. And I don't know. Look, this is what they're saying. It wouldn't shock me if in some of the heavier bands you get more like a 3 inch per hour, especially further to the north as we get that heavy band of snow. This was expected, this warm air moving north into the Tennessee Valley, into Kentucky. If you go back 3, 4, maybe even 5 days ago, the models were hinting at that. And within the last 24 hours, we've been talking about it, and it's happening. It was hard for some to see how could it possibly rain in West Virginia where temperatures were in the single digits and teens. Well, that warm air is scouring up west of the mountains, but east of the mountains, I'd say east of I-77, but once you get down here to North Carolina, that cold air extends further back to the west into South Carolina where we're dealing with some frozen precipitation. You kind of are seeing a bit of a break right now across the Piedmont areas of North Carolina, but there's a lot of moisture still to the west. This, friends, will be round 2 as we head into the afternoon, so there's more ice on the way. And another thing to consider, too, if you are in southern parts of Alabama, Georgia, Florida, new tornado watch has been pushed out across this region, expires in 7 hours as we're seeing this cold front work to the east. So some strong convection with these storms expected heading into the afternoon, with temperatures climbing well into the 60s, dew points up pretty high, too, across this region. Let's talk about the snow and where it's developing. We're starting to see it grow here into Boston, into western Mass, pretty much across the entire state. It's really picking up here south of Springfield, so from Bristol, Hartford, over to Providence, some heavy bands of snow moving north here with temperatures in the single digits. I imagine that you are certainly seeing some high snow ratios, and that snow is really fluffing up. It's probably really fine, and it's probably blowing around too, so we are definitely seeing some heavy snow conditions across this region. Back into Pennsylvania, big snow falling here too. Into New Jersey, there have been reports of mixed precipitation starting to go over, especially across southern parts of the state. That likely will continue as we see this warmer air aloft start to work to the north, like we're seeing in D.C. right now, with that mix starting to build not only here, but up into the Delmarva region too. Heavy snow continuing back along the Ohio River, southern Ohio, northern West Virginia. Most of these areas are seeing snow, but there is some sleet starting to mix in from time to time. That might cut down on some of your snow totals. And as we zoom back further to the south and west, things are starting to lighten up a little bit here. I'd say west of Indianapolis, across a lot of Illinois, Missouri, the precipitation starting to come to an end. There'll be a little bit more snow on the way too, and also some light snow moving through parts of Texas with temperatures in the teens, even single digits back here. So light snow possible on top of the ice that we saw across this part of the Lone Star State. Now, where is all this going? Let's take a look at the maps, and we'll show you kind of what we're thinking over the next 24 hours or so. This is a quick look at the European, lifting out pretty quickly, but what you might be concerned about is the type of precipitation you're going to see. Most of it really wrapping up across Arkansas and Texas as we head through the afternoon. I'm going to go through this really quickly just so I can be respectful of your time. And if you're watching this update, you don't have to sit through the whole thing, but we're definitely seeing the risk of some severe weather across the South. Storm Prediction Center watching this area clearly with that tornado watch that we just saw go out. and then everything starts to settle down, and it turns extremely cold behind this system, so the ice isn't going to be going anywhere. Further to the east, where we're seeing the rain, we'll eventually see things change back over to some ice across parts of middle Tennessee, but East Tennessee into parts of eastern Kentucky, temperatures will continue to warm up here as we head through the afternoon with just a plain rain, but into the east side of the mountains is this heavy precipitation. I'm telling you what, I'm concerned about this heavy precip moving out of Georgia up across this cold dome of air that's in southern parts, well, I should say really northwest parts of South Carolina, but right here along the Georgia-South Carolina border, and then into South Carolina, into North Carolina, especially the western mountains here of North Carolina, and then eventually into the Piedmont here from Charlotte up to Statesville to Winston-Salem, Greensboro. This could be a heavy period of freezing rain once we get toward the 4, 5, 6 o'clock time frame. Further to the north, it's interesting also to watch how this warm air starts to really get scoured out as your front moves through. You're bringing precipitation even for places like Bluefield up to Beckley, as far northeast as, I don't know, in Morgantown, we may flip over to a brief period of plain rain as that warm air scours just ahead of our front. On the east side of that, though, I think it's going to stay cold with freezing rain looking to be the predominant mode of precipitation. Heavy snow still going as we get into the evening hours. Further to the north, Syracuse, Rochester, Buffalo, even into parts of Pennsylvania. Now, Pittsburgh, we may start to mix over with a little bit of ice in the form of freezing rain and sleet, kind of that mixture here, especially as you get close to that West Virginia-Maryland border. And then over to Philadelphia, the newest HRRR trying to put things over to rain. Now, we're getting some decent heavy snow in the last hour with some sleet. The HRRR trying to show rain across southern parts of New Jersey, certainly a possibility at this point. And then the heavy snow continues into the northeast, into Massachusetts, Connecticut. Behind this cold, a decent band of snow trying to set up off of Lake Michigan with some snow lingering into the Appalachians as we get into the early morning hours of Monday, but most of the precipitation pushing off the coast. As far as snow totals go, this is all underway, so these are final totals, I think. Probably the last time I'm going to show this map. The blended data is showing more than 2 feet in some of these areas across parts of Massachusetts where it's already coming down at 1 inch to 2 inches per hour, in some cases, maybe even more. And then there's that freezing rain across parts of the Carolinas down into northeast Georgia, including Atlanta. That cold air being reinforced from the east, that will continue. And then more ice still falling back across the south into Mississippi, into Tennessee, into Kentucky. So power outages are still going to be a concern as we head through the afternoon. We're not quite out of the woods yet. Snow, not the thing down here, right? It's been the ice. In some cases, it's just been plain rain. But again, watch out into Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. And by the way, there's the European that ran this morning, also confirming some of these areas could get 18 to 24 inches of snow, in some cases maybe a little bit more. Now let's look at these temperatures. There's that warm nose moving all the way up into the mountain state of West Virginia, that cold air being reinforced down the east side of the mountains. We'll see all of this go away and turn cold, but it's not going anywhere, the cold anyway, into the northeast. It's stuck here. Surface low pressure developing. That right here, friends, is going to reinforce that cold. And with that northeasterly flow, I think it's going to enhance some of the snow here. Really cold behind this too, with temperatures below zero getting into Monday morning. Do we get into the teens below zero across Missouri with some fresh snow and ice on the ground? Certainly possible with this cold air mass moving in. This is pipe busting cold when you get pretty far to the south, with temperatures in the teens to near zero across parts of Arkansas. These areas, not used to cold like this. And then highs tomorrow, barely getting into the single digits. We're used to it maybe right across Illinois and Indiana, but highs in the single digits and teens further to the south. I mean, Tennessee, I think we get above 10 across middle Tennessee, but look at these overnight lows heading into Monday, down below zero all the way, possibly for places like Tupelo into Mississippi, into northern Louisiana. As winds calm down, if we can clear out with some fresh ice on the ground, that's another thing that's going to enhance that cold overnight air. And then as we get into Tuesday, temperatures start to warm up some, but look, it stays relatively cold back here. This is the new GFS data. Might be overdoing things just a touch, but I don't care how you slice it. The fact that it's showing temperatures well below zero at night, not getting above freezing, I'd say generally north of this line. We may get into the 30s across parts of Georgia, South Carolina, and Alabama, but the cold is here. and it gets reinforced again as we head into Thursday and Friday, especially here into the Northeast. Across the central U.S., the cold is locked in for the overnight into tomorrow. Temperatures may get below zero as we head into Monday morning across West Texas, maybe even into Dallas, close to zero anyway. And then, this is cold across the Lone Star State, with Texas dropping into the single digits and teens and below zero. That could cause some big problems. Leave those faucets dripping, leave the water running, because it could be a problem. And then as we head into Tuesday morning, that cold slips east. Another shot of chilly air starts to work in from the northwest as we head into Wednesday and Thursday. Cold. Staying cold here too with this type of setup. Look at these temperature anomalies. I'm going to let this roll, and I'll leave you with a quick look at the long range. The GFS keeps things cold. So does the European, by the way, in the east. Across the west, warm. Above average temperatures here. Another wave of cold showing up heading into next week. Let's see how all this shakes out. A ton of winter storm warnings out. Again, a lot of ice storm warnings too. And we may see more of this in the future. Take a look at the European weeklies. I want to show you this. These are 7-day average height anomalies all the way into February. So this would be the 7 days prior to February 16th. Okay, we're looking long range. I'm just telling you, this is an interesting look. I would say that's cold across a lot of the east with this type of setup. So potentially more winter weather on the way. This is the European that ran last night. And I will leave you with this. Precip moving into the Pacific Northwest. Some snow and rain possible here. Otherwise, across the rest of the West, dry across the Four Corner states. Another Arctic high building in. There could even be a clipper system sometime, here we go, onto Tuesday into Wednesday around the Great Lakes into southern Ontario with some light snow. That'll also pick up the lake effect. And then another one as we head into Thursday. These are all light snow events, but it's just reinforcing that cold. The snow and the ice that's on the ground, not going anywhere, and we'll add a little more snow on top of that. And then my question is, can something get going in the Gulf next weekend? The European keeps hinting at this. All right, the GFS says, no, it's not going to happen, but this is all energy that's not even close to forming. I'm more interested in this huge high that starts to build in as we head into next weekend. Very similar to what we're looking at now, just anchoring that cold air in across a good part of the eastern U.S. A little bit different across the Pacific Northwest, at least some rain and snow moving in here. It's been a little bit dry lately, but the overall pattern to me, if you take that European out, it keeps this northwest flow going. And I think you got to watch for anything that develops in the Western Gulf. All right, that's your update here midday on Sunday. Be safe.